What I see is that to make the EV spark, you need to align a certain number of stars. You need, of course, clean energy. You need a very dense charging network that people can see so that they remove range anxiety. They need a great product with a very high range, right? Like the products we are bringing to the market, 500 miles of range. That should be enough.
The CEO of Stellantis, Carlos Tavares, shocked the automobile industry with an unexpected revelation in an exclusive interview. All 14 of Stellantis' brands would be subject to a thorough evaluation during the next 2 to 3 years, which might fundamentally alter the company's destiny. However, what will be the fate of the company if its best hands are fired? Stellantis is cutting output at the Toledo Assembly Complex and the Warren Truck Assembly Factory near Detroit, citing a decline in sales and the necessity to modify its stocks. However, the Toledo Jeep plant's decision to stop producing the Gladiator will impact about half of the site's 5,000 employees, while Warren Truck will lose its second shift, which employs roughly 1,600 people. According to management, Gladiator employees will be unemployed for at least 2 weeks, and Warren Truck employees will be laid off for at least the month of July. Many Jeep employees who were laid off might eventually be repurposed to work on the Wrangler. Furthermore, the latest round of layoffs came after Carlos Tavares, the CEO of Stellantis, said that the company wants to cut expenses by 30% as it moves towards producing electric cars. However, there was a decline perceived already. Stellantis saw a 21% decline in sales in the second quarter of 2024, while other manufacturers, including the majority of foreign-based automakers, reported an increase in sales. Nonetheless, to preserve profit margins, Stellantis has declined to provide sales incentives on its cars like other automakers do. In order to make up for production losses because of parts shortages, Toledo workers were formally required to perform a 7-day work week. Stellantis' cost-cutting measures included arguing with suppliers over part prices. However, many of the employees will be fired. At least 2,300 temporary employees, also known as supplemental employees, SEs, were mass terminated, including 341 at the Jeep complex and 171 at Warren Truck, followed by the current round of layoffs. The layoffs have infuriated employees and have been perceived as concrete evidence that the 2023 record contract claims were false. Stellantis has been able to maintain Warren Truck operating 2 shifts. They are merely looking for ways to cut costs at the expense of diligent auto workers. As the battle to ensure that Stellantis stops attempting to destroy American employment, the contract ensures that these workers get benefits and layoff benefits in the interim. Nevertheless, the UAW has not suggested any course of action or otherwise contributed to the eviction of workers. More so, local UAW officials have attempted to minimize the layoffs by claiming that they are merely an extension of the summer vacation for employees while management retools the factories. However, there's a lot of uncertainty, said a former JNAP supplemental worker. Many people are afraid once more because they still have a 90-day probationary period, and those who have recently been turned over are having a hard time getting comfortable. Nonetheless, there is also talk on reshuffling. Bloomberg News reported that CEO Carlos Tavares is preparing a significant management reorganization in the wake of the automaker's profit warning. Tavares has been under increasing pressure to improve the automaker's North American business, as a sharp decline in sales and profit has caused the share price of the company to plummet. Due to fierce competition from China, the 4th largest automaker in the world by sales is dealing with dwindling worldwide demand and an excess of inventory. The automaker's current issues are more noticeable in the U.S., where declining demand has compelled it to reduce the price of several of its high-margin pickup trucks and Jeeps. Stellantis, which pledged to restrict output and provide steep discounts to boost its company in the U.S., last week lowered its 2024 profit prediction and said that it will spend more money than anticipated. At a board meeting that is planned for this week in the United States, Tavares might make his request. According to the source, the suggestion may have an impact on brand executives, regional leaders, and finance teams, among others. Stellantis refused to address the issue. The article also stated that during the 2-day meeting, the board is anticipated to talk about Tavares' future. With Tavares' contract expiring in 2026, Stellantis is presently looking for a replacement. but the carmaker has also made hints about Tavares perhaps staying on the team longer. They prefer to pay us $21 per hour rather than $35 per hour to someone who is already fully employed, the former Jefferson North Assembly Plant JNAP stated. Boyer and Fain had misled the SEs about being rolled over, according to the WSWS. That isn't cool, the WSWS remarked. There was widespread corruption within the UAW. A rank-and-file uprising against the union sellouts is becoming more likely as a result of the tremendous crisis that is developing within the UAW bureaucracy. There is no denying the need for a new UAW election given the ongoing sellout of workers' interests, fresh corruption revelations, and a June 25 court decision that further calls into question the validity of the 2022 UAW election. Workers in every industry and workplace have been urged by the International Workers Alliance of Rank-and-File Committees to form rank-and-file election committees in order to increase the demand for a fresh election and set up the necessary procedures to ensure its legitimacy. A federal judge in Michigan last week decided in favor of socialist Will Lehman, a rank-and-file employee of Mack Trucks, against the U.S. Department of Labor for failing to address his grievances on the suppression of the 2022 UAW election. Pedantry, irrational, and grounded in an arbitrary and capricious construction of the election rules that are not supported by their plain text or the prevailing case law were the terms of the judge's harsh criticism of the DOL's refusal to take Lehman's complaint seriously. The UAW monitor, who was appointed after the corruption probe that resulted in the imprisonment of over a dozen UAW executives, including 2 previous UAW presidents, was also subtly reprimanded by the federal court decision. Not just that, the monitor repeatedly declined to look into allegations of election breaches, such as the UAW apparatus's failure to maintain contact lists to ensure that members received votes or even to inform members that an election was happening. Many UAW members are still unaware that there was an election at all. A factional disagreement among the union's leadership has surfaced. According to a recently released letter by UAW Stellantis Vice President Rich Boyer, both he and Fain knew that Stellantis intended to terminate thousands of temporary employees before the sellout 2023 contract was ratified. By making up the promise that all temporary employees who worked longer than 9 months would be raised to full-time status, the UAW was able to get the contract ratified. Rather, Stellantis started the mass firings shortly after the deal was approved. Boyer, a former Warren Truck committeeman, was fired by Fain in May from his position as director of the union's Stellantis department. Among other reasons, Fain claimed that Boyer had not resisted the firing of further staff members. With a more assertive stance, Fain gained direct control of the Stellantis division. The UAW monitor revealed a shocking new development after the senior union leadership was shaken up. His office was looking into fresh claims of corruption involving Fain, UAW Secretary-Treasurer Margaret Mock, and an unidentified UAW regional director. However, the network of rank-and-file committees must be established and expanded in order to defend jobs, combat layoffs, and demand that all full-time and part-time employees be hired again. In order to overthrow the discredited Fain administration and implement a policy centered on the needs of the shop floor workers, it is linked to the call for a new UAW election. Creating alternatives to the corrupt and ossified UAW apparatus will fortify the struggle for the transfer of authority to the rank and file. This stage of the business is a complete change, and like any other, it requires a significant amount of work and commitment. However, this is the reason why businesses fire employees who aren't prepared for change, and Stellantis is no exception. Do you believe that the company has more important things to accomplish than firing employees? Leave your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching.